The MLB offseason continues on. The Philadelphia Phillies have brought in another name. Nick Vespi will join the bullpen, potentially on a minor league deal and looking to be the bullpen depth that this team is missing, but it could come at the cost of a fan favorite that we do not want walking away from this organization. We're going to break down exactly how this all ties together and dive right into things. We did get this report from Matt Gelb earlier saying that Phillies signed lefty reliever Nick Vespi to a minor league deal with an invite to spring training. Vespi, 29, had a 3.88 ERA in 53 and third innings over the last 3 seasons with Baltimore. He's potential bullpen depth. So not a ton to go off here, as Gelb mentioned, a pretty limited sample size at the major league level, but there's clearly a guy the Phillies want to give a chance to, and I think one of the themes of the offseason that we've seen so far is that they are going to take these chances. This does feel like a high-risk, high-reward type of offseason that at least is unfolding in front of us to this point. But Luke, what are your takeaways on this signing here?
Yeah, sort of one of those minor league deals that you see and you're like, all right, sweet, and then you forget about for the next 3 months, and then he ends up in the majors at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I've said this before. I will never hate a minor league deal. I saw an article earlier. I forget exactly who it was from, but he said something along the lines of something along basically like there's never enough pitching depth,
Yeah.
and you can sign a guy to a minor league contract, and you can end up with a Jeff Hoffman. So that's kind of where I'm at. Not really a crazy lot here. He's about like a 3-pitch pitcher. He doesn't throw crazy hard.
Okay.
He definitely has good stuff though, and I will say this: he has awesome hair.
He does.
He has great hair.
Look at the locks.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah. So speaking of Jeff Hoffman in this conversation, I do think this ties together. Now, this does come kind of on the same back as them obviously making the deal to bring in an outfielder with Kepler there. But as you tweeted, barring a trade, bringing back Jeff Hoffman is going to be tougher now. The Phillies are going to have to get creative to stay under that third tax. It is frustrating to me that this guy has not been a priority. And to kind of give a couple quotes from Hoffman here, this is a guy who's been pretty open about his desire to return to Philadelphia really throughout all of last season. And the quote I have, entering free agency and immediately following the playoffs, he said, quote, "It's hard to even explain what it feels like pitching in Philly because of the noise. It feels like the field surface is alive. When the big moments happen, you can hear it from the ground up, like the stadium has the same heartbeat as you." And besides that being just an absolutely fire quote there, it's incredibly frustrating to me that this dude has not been a priority for this team. Now, his stuff was nasty throughout all the regular season last year. Pitched in 68 games, 66.1 innings pitched, just 6 home runs allowed, 89 strikeouts, and just 48 hits there. A 2.17 ERA and a .9675 whip there. He was awesome. He was not great in the playoffs, and we do have to acknowledge that. I do wonder if that's part of what's given the Phillies pause here. But what's your perception of the outlook with Jeff Hoffman and why there really has been no traction to this point?
Yeah, it is a bit weird. There's obviously the rumors going around that he's considering
Starting.
being a starter, which I've said here to you multiple times. I don't think that would be the best thing for his career. I think money-wise, it would be good for his career because he's going to make way more money being a starter than he would be a reliever. But yeah, I've wanted Jeff Hoffman back the whole offseason. I know you have.
Yep.
And I do want to just kind of say that tweet that I put out, that was after we got Max Kepler. That wasn't from the minor league deal. This really doesn't have a hit on the luxury tax here. But yeah, they're gonna have to get a little creative now. I don't think Hoffman is gonna get a deal under $10 million. And that kind of seems like around where the Phillies are right now, I believe, remaining. I don't really have the exact number right now, but it's going to be around that margin. So if they are looking to bring Hoffman back, they're going to have to get creative. They're going to have to make a trade. They're going to have to do something. But if that's their priority, then I think they will. I think they'll figure out a way. But I will say this: the free agent relief pitcher market this year has been very silent so far. There hasn't really been many. We're still waiting on a ton of big names like Hoffman, Estevez, Scott, so many others. That's probably been the slowest moving market so far this offseason, I would say. So if it's just like the waiting game for Hoffman, then I would say the Phillies are always still in just because he did really want to come back here. And I will say this, there hasn't been a ton of like this team is really interested in Jeff Hoffman. This
Yeah.
team has shown interest. Like there hasn't really been much. It's just been sort of teams in general that are interested in just like a bunch of guys. So I think that's kind of in the Phillies' favor right now. I still think maybe not the front runner after the signing of Kepler,
Yeah.
but I still think the Phillies are in a pretty good chance to bring him back. It's just the matter of them having to get creative now.
Yeah, I do definitely hope that is the case, and maybe this is me reading into things a little bit more than should be the case, but I do feel like whenever that Estevez and Hoffman are spoken on, it's basically like they've been lost to free agency is sort of like the way that it's spoken about. I hope that's not the case there, but to walk with it and act like it is for this time being, looking at the current Phillies bullpen, I'm not sure we can legitimately look at that honestly and say that is a World Series bullpen right there. It clearly was not last year, and it was incredibly frustrating to me as this was something we perceived as a strength of this team entering the playoffs, certainly more than the past couple years in which they entered and made that push. And then ultimately, that's a huge area where they collapse. And I get the bats are the bigger cause of concern, going cold at the wrong time here. But I mean, we saw meltdowns from the bullpen in last year's playoffs in a way that just did not happen during the regular season. So, what's your perception of that? And do you think that they absolutely need to add more arms here?
Yeah, I will say this. They have four really good relievers right now. I would say three really good ones, one that can be really good, and one that's on his way to, I think, being really good. I don't have any worry about Matt Strahm.
Yeah.
I think Orion Kerkering's only getting better.
Yeah.
Jordan Romano, I'm still very high on. I think that if that bounce back hits, which it seems like the Phillies really believe it's going to,
Still an if,
I'm
though.
telling you, that is going to be the steal of the offseason if he pitches like he has in the past. Alvarado is the interesting one. If you get good Alvarado, I think this bullpen is in good shape, I would say. If you get shaky Alvarado, then it gets a little questionable.
And
As
to
far as
interject a little
Tanner,
bit here, the scary part about that is you're not exactly sure which Alvarado you're getting when you throw him on the
exactly.
mound.
And that's kind of the hard part with Alvarado is you don't really know which one you're going to get. As far as Banks, I don't think he's anything special, but I think the Phillies view him as a guy that can definitely get some outs next year and
Yeah.
not really just in the fourth inning of a 9-run game. So yeah, they still need one more.
Yeah.
I don't care what Dombrowski says. They need one more at least. How they're gonna do that, I don't know. If they are interested in Nolan Arenado, I think Orion Helsley being thrown into that trade would probably be the most likely thing. But yeah, they have another move to make. They have to make one more for the bullpen
Yeah.
because I don't think Jose Alvarado can be your third best arm.
No,
I think he needs to be probably your fourth or your fifth.
I will say Alvarado looking trim. Saw a couple workout videos of him
Yeah,
throwing
yeah,
down there.
slim
So
down a
who
little.
knows? Maybe coming in best shape of his life
I
type
like
mentality.
fat Alvarado there. Not that he's fat, but I mean, even he calls himself fat on the broadcast. So I that's fine, I guess. But I do sort of like the big belly Alvarado out there. I can't
I
lie.
do too, and he throws with every ounce of what he's got in that gut there, which I love.
Mm.
And I've said this about for years about Ryan Howard, is I think Ryan Howard's career went wrong when he lost weight there. That fat
Yeah.
Ryan
Oh,
Howard,
absolutely.
yeah, he was the guy mashing home runs, doing all that. And I get you want to trim down for the Achilles issue and everything like that, but you were never the same player. And I might attest that more to the weight loss than the Achilles there, but maybe this is just me speaking. But back to this Phillies team as a whole here. Uh, I really want to see Jeff Hoffman back on team is where
Yeah,
I get. I
me
guess
too,
every
man.
time I circle this, it's like I can't think of a world where even speaking about other options here, I feel more confident in that guy being the dude than just about anybody on the market. So are there any other names that you would throw out there? I know you mentioned Ryan Helsley there. Anybody else that piques your interest?
I mean, for it's going to be hard now for Tanner Scott. He's going to get a big contract. This is why I said in the Max Kepler, I just feel like something's coming. Like
Has to.
I feel like a big sort of salary maybe dump. Like I don't know. Like I don't feel like they're done. And if they're not done in free agency, then they're gonna have to trade somebody. So I don't know what that trade's gonna be. But I would be shocked if they were done. They just cannot be.
Yeah. No, I do share that sentiment as well. So we're gonna keep breaking it down as it comes in here. Hopefully, Dave Dombrowski working the phones as we speak here. But for the time being, welcome to Philadelphia, Nick Vespi. Hopefully, this does turn into one of the steals of the offseason. All of a sudden, we're speaking about him being a significant part of this bullpen here. Not gonna set my hopes too high there, but keeping that, I guess, option on the table here. But appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in these videos as always. Appreciate. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button if you have not already. Drop a like, and me and Luke will be back talking to you next time. Peace.